Breaking news over at Dawg Post. The Southeastern Conference naming Gunnar Stockton the league's Offensive Player of the Week, as you can see here on the screen. Big moment for Gunnar. 304 yards passing, 23 for 31, 2 touchdowns. That huge one to Lennon Humphreys that you've seen a lot on Dawg Post. Just a big moment for Gunnar. Peyton Woodring, also Special Teams Player of the Week for the league. Peyton Woodring going 3 of 3 on point after attempts. But I think the big thing with Peyton, I don't want to skip over this. Several huge field goals from him. Didn't have to kick a field goal in overtime because the Dogs got the job done with Josh McCray getting into the end zone. A big win for Georgia up at Neyland. You can read more about this. I'm going to put the QR code on the screen and you'll go straight to this article. So check that out when you have a second. I think it was a huge step forward for Gunnar Stockton. The league acknowledging how well he played is one thing. Let me throw in there too. He had 13 carries for 38 yards. He had 10 yards. He had actually gained 48 yards, but he had 10 on sacks. But the 4th and 6 from the Tennessee 28, Georgia could have gotten the ball back. As it turns out, they didn't. Right? I mean, they still had the 2-minute warning to go. But that was such a huge play. There were 2 moments in that game at Neyland that most games are pretty boring for me. Even if they're relatively close, you get used to that and the sort of the drama that surrounds things. That play in particular to Humphreys, that's going to be a hard one to forget. But then in terms of images, Tennessee missing that kick was that I didn't even know I had as good a shot of it as I got. But at the end of the day, I won't forget that image either. It was something else to watch that game and see all of these things happen through your lens. I do want to put it on the screen and just talk about it just for a second. So I have a Nikon Z9 and it shoots anywhere from 15 to 30 seconds, 30 frames a second. So it can be quite quick. This is the reaction from the Georgia players when Gilbert missed the field goal. And just from my perspective, I did not think Georgia was going to lose that game at any point until late in the game. I thought they were in trouble then when Tennessee got the 3rd and 8 and they kind of started taking off. I thought they were in trouble. I didn't think they had necessarily lost the game, and as it turns out, they didn't. Now, they got down in overtime. This is the 17th time that Kirby Smart's team has come from behind in the 4th quarter or later to win a game. That is crazy. He's got 19 losses. So 17, he almost has as many come from behind 4th quarter wins as he has losses. So the DNA of this team is significant. But the party on the turf at Neyland, that was the same way that the kick in 13 went to that end zone when Georgia kicked it to win. Marshall Morgan knocking that one through, shout out. 12 years later, 13 years later. Aaron Murray and company having to go the length of the turf, the length of the field, hitting Rantavius Wooten with a touchdown. This is all off the top of my head. Some of these details can be slightly wrong, but I think there were like 5 seconds left in the game. And then what's his name? Pig Howard or something like that. The ball fumbling out of his hand. That would not have won Tennessee the game. It would have given them a touchdown lead. So Georgia would have approached overtime slightly differently. I'm still recovering from what was an extremely late night for us. It was much hotter on the field than it looked. I'll tell you that right now. I mean, it was certainly 85 at Neyland, but on the field might have been worse. So it was a difficult game. It was a difficult game to work. I cannot imagine how difficult it was to play. But the mental toughness from this team, this program, they've got a lot to work with. And the SEC today giving Gunnar that award, it's the first time he's gotten that award. It was just a great performance from Georgia up at Neyland. Here's a shot. I don't know how to get that on the screen. Well, it was a wonderful performance from Georgia doing what they needed to do to win the game. And, a loss would not have knocked them out by any stretch of the imagination. But you do have to, it'd have been tough to come back from that. I mean, that would have been a tricky situation. I mean, every game from here on out would have been, they got to win this game. They got to win this game. The Alabama game, Tech, Auburn on the road, Florida, all these games would have been must win for Georgia. Here's a shot I was looking for. And, outside of the fumble where, Gunner probably had the ball a little low, it was just a really solid day of football from him. Here's Peyton Woodring knocking in. That looks like about a 30. That was probably his long of the day. He had a few 20-something yarders, but they were all important. And look, man, Woodring, we're a long way from that South Carolina game in 2023. And then let me talk about that for a second, because there's a reason why Gunner Stockton is starting. There's a reason why Peyton Woodring, even with the misses early in that season, was starting as the kicker. This is why practice matters so much. If you can do it in practice, you will do it in the game. It's a matter of time and getting used to things, and that's all. And Woodring, he is a really good kicker. He had a not great start. But that's the thing about kickers, is you have to be overwhelmingly mentally tough. Maybe tougher than anybody on the team that's not the quarterback. But look, the kicker often has to make game-winning plays. And the quarterback does too, but it sure seems like it comes on the kicker a lot. And this Tennessee is not right here doing what Georgia did on. Georgia's going to block a kick at some point this season. They've come really close a couple of times. And, to go from that to this, like, those Georgia kids are all through the line right there. They're all through the line. I can't, there's not a bunch of other great, I don't take tons and tons of, here's the shot of Gunner fumbling that ball. But he I don't know I can, necessarily blame Gunner for that. The ball was a little bit too low, but, that's why you want it high and tight. But I think he was moving and all this stuff. I don't really have a challenge on that front. I do not have a shot of Georgia nearly blocking some of these other kicks. If you don't, the photos are free over at Dawg Post. You should go check that out too when you go to the site. But there were so many examples of, it seemed like every time, Georgia was going to, I'll just roll through some of them as I talk here. Gunner put that ball exactly. Look, that's a fair amount of space that Humphrey's giving him to put the ball in place. Neyland Stadium is one of the best places to photograph a game because of the color, the contrast. They do a really good job there of creating atmosphere. The speakers where the band is pumped in around the stadium, it makes it really hard to play. But it doesn't look like London's got a lot of space here. He actually does, because the checkerboard doesn't extend all the way through, and he's probably at the first or midway part of the second of the checkerboard. I know these stadiums relatively well by now. You get so used to shooting at them. But, I think for Gunner, you're talking about a guy that there's no telling where he can take this team. He's really good. He does not have he does not play quarterback the way that Carson played quarterback. There was a reason why Carson was the starter a season ago. Gunner plays it a different way. You don't have to play the way the other person wants you to play. That's what's so important about sports. You have people who are left-handed. I hated playing left-handed people, whether they're in basketball or tennis. It was awful because everything's the opposite. The ball in tennis spins the wrong way. It's annoying. But, Georgia can play however they want to play. And with Gunner Stockton and Bain here coming off, that was a hold that was called on the Tennessee defender trying to stop Christian Miller. You don't see it. Excuse me. Georgia's going to be able to do a lot of different things. This was a monumental win. They don't get it without Gunner and his play. He played so efficiently, but that one throw was, and it was something else, man. And I will just stop on this one image too. He does need to get north and south. What Kirby's saying is true. He is particularly fast going vertically. He is not Zachariah Branch fast. He is not Dwight Phillips Jr. fast. He can scoot, but he is not a moving forward guy. It's not a side to side guy. He is a straightforward guy, and he's really dangerous then. And but I think this was the right call by the league in both cases. But we did want to talk to you about that. Make sure you're signing up for our newsletter if you've not checked that out yet. We appreciate everybody seeing what we're doing. We appreciate everybody comments, and we'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.